Welcome to The Explainer. So, as we all gear up for another busy school year, we really need to look at the foundational structures that keep our kids safe. Today, we're breaking down the August 2025 Back to School Student Welfare Protocols. Look, as educators and school staff, I know you're wearing a dozen hats on any given day, but when a real crisis hits, there's absolutely zero room for guesswork. This Explainer is all about giving you absolute clarity on these high-stakes procedures so when the time comes, you can act with total confidence. Think about it for just a second. When a student is in crisis, do you know your exact next step? And I don't mean your best guess, or what you kind of remember hearing in a staff meeting 3 years ago. I mean the precise, immediate action required of you. We're talking about real-world, highly sensitive scenarios where knowing the protocol isn't just checking off an administrative box. It's quite literally a matter of student safety. When the adrenaline spikes, you need a mental flowchart you can rely on instantly. Okay, let's dive into this. On today's agenda, first, youth suicide prevention protocols. Second, reporting child abuse disclosures. And third, supporting students in transition. Section 1. Youth Suicide Prevention Protocols. Let's look at the immediate response protocol. Emily and Alex are designated as our key contacts here. The whole procedure is distinctly broken down into what you do as the first point of contact versus the counselor's role. And honestly, it's designed this way to take the heavy weight of clinical assessment completely off your shoulders. Your main job here, observation and safe transfer. Let's break down that immediate staff response. Step 1 is simply to observe. If you see concerning writings in a notebook, maybe an essay, or you overhear a passing conversation regarding suicide, your radar immediately goes up. Educators are actually the first to notice signs of crisis in a vast majority of cases, which makes this observation step absolutely critical. Step 2 is incredibly important. Stay calm. Research actually shows that a calm adult presence is often the #1 de-escalator in acute youth crises. Your procedural clarity is what anchors the student. Emotion can escalate things quickly, so taking a breath is a literal step in the protocol. And step 3, contact your grade-level school counselor immediately. This is your first major handoff. You aren't meant to solve this complex issue yourself, you're just meant to connect them to the expert. So the crucial point is right here. Do not leave the student without an adult. This is an absolute prohibition, no exceptions. Under no circumstances does this student go to the restroom alone, walk down to the counselor's office by themselves, or just sit in an empty hallway. If you need to send another trusted student to go grab a counselor, do it. But you or another staff member must stay physically present with that student until the handoff is complete. We have to support them every single step of the way. And the good news is, once you make that successful handoff, the experts take over. It's incredibly reassuring to know exactly what happens next, right? The school counselor will talk with the student and clinically assess the situation. If it's necessary, they are the ones who will call crisis or 911. They're going to take on the heavy task of notifying the parents. Furthermore, a follow-up plan will be created and the counselor will close the loop by notifying teachers, the principal, and the school resource officer. The takeaway here is that you are not carrying this burden alone. Section 2. Reporting child abuse disclosures. For mandated disclosures, the protocol relies on specific coordinators. Your child abuse coordinator, or CAC, is Emily Elliott, or Alex Taylor, and they are assisted by Sarah Whitener and Ryan Schwarzentruber. Now, while human instinct might make you really want to investigate a disclosure yourself, the protocol is incredibly strict here. We have specialized coordinators for a reason. Now, what's really interesting about this part of the protocol is the strict division of labor it establishes between you, the first responder, and the child abuse coordinator. As a staff member, if a student reports abuse to you, you just need to write down the details of what they disclose. Then you inform the CAC. Together with the CAC, you inform law enforcement, our SRO. That's your lane. After that, the CAC takes the baton. They'll assist with reporting to the Department of Children's Services, complete all the district forms, meet with administration like Whitner and Airby for updates, and handle getting the police report numbers. It's a seamless relay race provided everyone sticks to their specific responsibilities. And sticking to those responsibilities means observing some very strict boundaries. First, the CAC does not inform teachers or other staff about the report. This is to protect confidentiality. Gossip or even well-meaning concern can seriously jeopardize a student's safety. Second, and please listen because the protocol is absolutely rigid on this, no photos can be taken of suspected injuries. Literally none. Do not pull out your phone, do not document it visually yourself. Just write down the disclosure details and follow the reporting steps exactly. Leave the investigations to the professionals.
Section 3. Supporting students in transitions.
Our final protocol, which is again overseen by Emily and Alex, centers on the McKinney-Vento Act. Now, this is entirely about eliminating barriers for students experiencing homelessness. But as educators, we really have to understand what homelessness actually looks like today, because it rarely fits the traditional stereotype. The protocol defines these youth as students in transition. This phrasing broadens the definition significantly. We're looking out for students who might be living in hotels, transitioning in the foster care system, or living in automobiles, tents, or shelters. But crucially, it also includes students who are doubled up with other people due to economic hardship. So, if a student casually mentions that a whole other family just moved into their two-bedroom apartment, that is a major transition trigger that you need to recognize. Innes brilliantly illustrates the core diagnostic tool for this protocol, the simple question of how and why. The main thing in determining a student's homelessness status isn't just looking at their current living situation, but really understanding how they got there and why they're staying there. Is it by choice or is it by necessity? Is this a permanent setup or is it strictly temporary? Once again, your job is the handoff. If a parent discloses a homelessness situation to you, or if you simply have questions about a student's living situation based on little things you've observed, step 1 is initiated. Step 2, you contact your grade-level school counselor and the social worker. Step 3, the counselor takes the lead. They will be the one to actually call the parents to determine eligibility and needs based on those how and why criteria. And finally, step 4, a formal referral to the school social worker will be made to get that family the resources they need. So why do we do all of this? The protocol states it beautifully right at the very end. We want students to have one school for 1 year. That is the overarching driving goal of the McKinney-Vento protocol. Think about it. For a child whose home life is in constant upheaval, whose address might literally change week to week, providing the simple stability of the same classroom, the same teachers, and the same friends for one continuous academic year, that can be completely life-changing. We've covered a lot of heavy ground today, from suicide prevention to abuse reporting to identifying students in transition. But the recurring theme throughout all of this is very clear. You are the vital first link in the chain. You observe, you remain calm, and you initiate the protocol. So I'll leave you with this final thought. When the moment comes, and if you work in schools long enough, it absolutely will you be ready to make the handoff that changes or perhaps even saves a student's life? Thanks so much for walking through this explainer with us, and here's to a safe, prepared, and successful school year.